up in the Premier League, some interesting movements to be had. Let's see how that goes. This weekend, also in the La Liga, all the drama that is going on, we'll touch on all of that and more. And then we also have the F1 Grand Prix coming up this weekend. So all of that and more inside the locker room today. But before we do any talking, Ayokunmi, tell us, how can we be a part of the locker room?
All right, you can be a part of the locker room as always by joining us on WhatsApp to share your messages with us. The number is 0809 444 0981. 0809 444 0981. That is the WhatsApp number. You can also give us a call on the studio line if and when we choose to open it, but just need to have the number down. Speed dial, very important. 0201 4489981. 0201 4489981. And we're also streaming live on YouTube. You can find us at Smooth 981 FM Lagos. Smooth 981 FM Lagos. Those are the ways that you can join us on the discussion in the locker room this Feel Good Friday morning. All right, we're going to begin our journey in the locker room this morning talking about the world of tennis. Indeed, it's all about tennis this morning. And sorry, hold on here. Aha, got it. The top 20 men's and women's players have sent a letter to the four Grand Slams asking for more prize money. The letter, which was first reported by French newspaper L'Equipe, requested a meeting to discuss players receiving greater share of revenue. Tega, can you please explain to us what is happening here? More money?
Remember what I told you. Remember when they first sent that letter and said, "Oh, we're just looking for better welfare for some young tennis players that are not doing well, yada yada yada, blah blah blah." I was like, this letter looks a little fishy, because they were not really saying anything. I thought there would be questions about doping inside that letter. There weren't, but they talked about competition, welfare, and all of that, where they had to compete, why they had to change the ball often. And it didn't look like he held any water. So when the backlash started coming in, even Novak Djokovic, as the head of the players union that he created, separate from the former ATP players union that was available, he now had to try and take a step back, that maybe the legal language they used was too strong, that they didn't consult him on every single thing, and they should have, and everybody was like, Novak. Anyway, only for them to now write a new letter saying that they want better revenue share. Now, they're not saying that they're not well paid. They are saying that the Grand Prix makes much more money than they spend on prize money. Now, here is the problem with that. They are looking at the amount of money that they make from sponsorships and all of that, but they are not privy to the Grand Prix books. For instance, there was one Grand Prix
Grand
that
Slams.
broke it. Sorry, Grand Slams. I keep saying Grand Prix because I'm waiting for them. There was one Grand Slam that broke it down. They made about 380 million euros, or 380 million euros, or 380 million pounds. Anyway, prize money came up to about 57 million. But by the time they took out the overhead cost, the cost of running the Grand Slam itself, they were left with only 54 million profit.
Wow.
So exactly. So at the end of the day, it's a fair share. So if you're coming as the players to say, we want more money, because you are making more money and you're not sharing that to us, the players, then it becomes dicey, because you are calculating only the money that is coming in. You're not calculating the money that they use to maintain, to build, to pay organizations, because some organizations do not own the facility they are using. They are going to have to pay a particular profit to the association and to the people that own it. So at the end of the day, I think the players, it's a letter they've written. So maybe that opens up a conversation, and after that they can listen. But when the players are coming out to talk that, oh yes, I think we should share the money fairly, I'm like, no, don't do that. Because a lot of these players are signed letters, like Emma Navarro, like Casper Ruud. what they were telling me, they sounded what they're saying, they just sounded ignorant. Like they had the money that the Grand Slam made, and they had the money that was shared among the players. And they're like, oh, that's just not fair. I don't think they are well informed about all the details that go on in the background. And I think they need to be. So at the end of the day, when all is said and done, I tell people, when people have grouse, it comes down to the money. Find out the money behind it. If you find out what the money is behind it, then you know where the anger is coming from. So we wait to see what the response of the four Grand Slams will be, um, and wait to see the sit down and the talks that they will have, because a lot of players just signed some things without adequate information. Because at
Right.
first they came out saying that they are fighting for the lower ranked players that don't get paid very well, but for Grand Slams, some lower ranked players don't get in. So you're really ultimately fighting for yourself, which is why at the end of the day, it looks like the top 20 are fighting for their money. The lower ranked players will not feel that they're fighting for them, because even Grand Slam is far for me to compete in. So why why are you claiming to be fighting for me?
Just come clean and see you're fighting for your own head. Simple
Exactly.
as
So
that.
let's see what they've written the letter, but let's see what the backlash should be. I know that they want to get a conversation. I know they want to get a seat at the table, to have a conversations with to have conversations with the governing body and tournament organizers. I know they want to do that. I'm not sure that they are going about it the right way. I think that's what my issue is.
Mm. Well, let's see how it all plays out and what the response to this is going to be. We'll be keeping our tabs on that matter and bring you updates as they get to us. Let's talk about Formula One, Tega. Now, Lewis Hamilton has been speaking. Now, he said yesterday that suggestions that he had lost faith in Ferrari were complete rubbish as he looks to rebound from his Chinese Grand Prix disqualification this week in Japan.
I think it's very interesting. You know, there's just always going to be news going somewhere. Somebody read somebody's body language and came out and said something. Um, because I mean, I've seen a story that, oh, if you read his body language, he's going through this, and I'm like, what? What if he was just hungry? You know, because yeah, because or what if he was like me and he woke up from sleep in the morning and had to go on locker room? You've seen me in the morning before the show, you know?
I mean,
Trust me. So if you saw my body language before I got on the show, you'd be like, oh, she probably hates her job. No, I just don't like the fact that I've not slept enough. And trust me, it doesn't matter how long I sleep in a day, sleep is never enough. And so
I agree.
sometimes you you hear stories and you wonder where they're coming from. So somebody came out to say that, Ferrari truly have had problems, and problems that are self-inflicted. Because think about it, how do your two cars get disqualified in the same race for varied infractions? And so they've now dropped to fifth after after the race. After the race, they updated the standings with the points that they both made. Um, they were further off. Now they've dropped back to fifth in the constructors' championship, and people are questioning whether they are even going to be able to do anything this season, because when Red Bull is struggling with pace sometimes, and Aston Martin has not yet gotten it together, with their science or their engineering. You know what the problem is. But this one, it seems like self-sabotage. You're like, it doesn't matter how fast the Ferrari is. What it comes down to is what happens on the pit wall. And
Hmm.
so, yeah, and that's why people are questioning if they're going to have a good season. It's not about the car. It's not even about the reliability. It's about the decision making at Ferrari. And so, yes, they're right to question that. And yes, sometimes Lewis Hamilton may feel frustrated. The drivers may feel frustrated, not just Lewis. Because remember, last season it used to be Charles Leclerc and Carlos Sainz that used to feel frustrated.
Right.
But to come out and say that he's given up on Ferrari. How many races into the season, Oga?
I mean,
Where
e-
where did
early
you
in the
where
morning
did you
already in his
do you
career.
understand? Where did you get this information from? Did you follow him to where he was vacationing? It's all these things, and he now has to come out, and you put him in a precarious position because now he now has to come out and first of all rubbish your claims, but also try to convince Ferrari that I didn't say this because this is a new relationship. They don't really know him like that. I'm beginning to sound like it's a romantic relationship, but this is a new
We know what you
relationship.
mean, Tega. We know what you mean.
So they don't know him like that. So it becomes a tough place ultimately. But he has debunked the claims, but Ferrari just need to get their acts together. They have fallen behind too quickly. Even if it's early in the season, they are already behind by a lot. I know at the start of the season, a lot of us were saying this is McLaren's season, but we expected Ferrari to at least be competing. At this point, they are not.
They are not by any stretch of the imagination. And if they want to be competitive, they need to get their acts together as soon as possible because they'll be left so far behind. And when you begin to, see that gap earlier on in the season to catch up, problem is what it is. Let's take a very quick break. And when we come back in, we'll get back into the stories. We'll be talking about the Manchester derby that comes up this weekend. Can Manchester United claim a league double over Man City? We'll find out.
Yeah, so we'll come. That's a question. About the claiming a league double, especially with Manchester City struggling a bit. We cannot count their results against Leicester City because Leicester City is doing bonanza.
We're on a break, Tega.
I know. I'm talking to you.
Okay. I thought you were in the groove. I was going to wonder.
I'm talking to you. So that's the question we are going to ask. So when you come back, we'll be opening the channels. I don't know if we should open phone lines today because people may be stuck in traffic.
Yesterday when I finished, I ran.
I say, if you're a VI, just always carry camp gas. Cook your dinner there. No need to go outside. Cook your dinner there and be eating jejely. Just so that I spend the rest of the day there. So we'll come back with that question. Can Manchester United do the double?
All right.
I think that's
Come back in. All right, welcome back into the locker room. It's a feel-good Friday morning. Smooth 98.1 and the Smooth Breakfast is what you are listening to. My name is Ayokunmi Kekiriako, and Tega Supreme is on with me this morning, talking about all of the sporting news that you need to know. And we are getting back
Lagos traffic.
And well, Lagos traffic. Just trying to make whatever it is you're going through right now, we are here to take your minds off it all. We've got you covered. That's why we are Smooth 98.1. Welcome back into the show. Before we went on that break, I asked the question that I wish I would ask again. Can Manchester United actually claim a league double over Manchester City for the first time in 5 years? Because this weekend, it's all about the Manchester derby. Tega.
Yeah, like I was saying on the break, I think that's what we want to do. We want to hear your thoughts. Can Manchester United claim a league double over Manchester City? The numbers to send your messages to are
0809 444 0981. 0809 444 0981 is the WhatsApp number. You can also send your thoughts to us on YouTube. We're live at Smooth 981 FM Lagos. Smooth 981 FM Lagos. I already see Uchenna Wokoye, LK, and of course Padre Pio or Pio, any one of the two, already seated and ready to go. It's going to be an interesting one, Tega, that game over the weekend.
Yeah, let's go into that story. Ruben Amorim has his work cut out for him. The last time they met, it was a result that came out from like a rumble in the jungle. The George Foreman. I don't know why I'm talking boxing recently, but like the George Foreman, Muhammad Ali, if I say Louis Ali. Muhammad Ali fight where there was a rope-a-dope for a while and then in the last minute Muhammad Ali stung. That's what it was because at some point Manchester was looking like we're not informed. We're not the Manchester City team that we always were, but we still got you. And then Manchester United came back into the game with Amad Diallo looking like Superman in the last minute. And so after that result, Manchester City will be wary. I can tell you that they'll be on the lookout. They'll be checking their side mirrors to see how close Manchester United are. Manchester United coming from a Nottingham Forest defeat where they didn't play too badly. They just didn't put the ball in the back of the net. Manchester City losing Erling Haaland to an injury for 7 weeks. He's out for 7 weeks. And then, of course, beating Leicester City. But like I said during the break, Leicester City doesn't count. They are doing bonanza there. Play one, get 3 points. That's what they are doing at Leicester City. So I don't want to use the Leicester City Premier League results for Manchester City. So it's an interesting one. It puts both of them almost at par, despite the fact that Manchester City is fifth and Manchester United. Where are you now? Are you 13 to 11?
Somewhere down there, Sha. I don't even know at this point.
You're still at the second half of the table.
Ah,
I'm sorry for you. Do you want
second
therapy?
page,
Let me pay for therapy.
Tega, I've said this thing already. I'm ready in next season. Like, I'm not,
Okay.
you know.
But despite the fact that there is a big gulf between both teams on the table, because this is a rivalry and because of the form that Manchester City is, it now becomes a neutral ground. So the question we asked you earlier now suffices because we want to hear from you. Can Manchester United do the double over Manchester City this season? Let's look at some of your messages.
All right, let's take a look at what you are saying in your message. Let's see who's talking to us here. This is Zikolo. Zikolo says, "I care less about what the Manchester boys do to themselves. What I know is that both of them are done for this season. I'm more concerned about who cursed Arsenal with injuries this season. It seems to always be ready for them anytime they think they can hope for something. It is well."
We are getting to that story.
Yeah, sorry. Oluwaseyi says, anybody they beat Man City these days, beating them isn't a sign you're a good team. Ouch. So yes, Man United can beat Man City again this weekend despite their form. Then he also said, technically, Hamilton jumped from the frying pan into the furnace, Abi. That's a very Formula One. Okay, let's see. Let me see what's going on YouTube. Let me see the comments on YouTube. I'll take them right about now. Let's see here. Where is this thing? Okay, this is from Padre. Padre says City is struggling, agreed, but not when it comes to United. Them go beat United like criminal this weekend.
That's what we said at the first Lego, and we know how that ended.
Exactly.
It ended in praise. All right, for people like Ayo. All right, let's take the next story as we try to rush through the rest.
All right, let's take the next story here. We're heading into La Liga in Spain, where La Liga leaders Barcelona's 21-game unbeaten run will face a test on Saturday when they host a Real Betis side who have already stunned the Catalans' Madrid title rivals Real Atletico.
This is going to be epic. So remember, in the La Liga, it's now a two-horse race. Atletico Madrid are already off it, despite the fact that they tried. Atletico Madrid is the most unfortunate team, is all I can say. Because regardless of what they do, they're facing teams like Barcelona and Real Madrid. It must be a daunting task. But despite the fact that Real Madrid and Barcelona are at it, it has now come down to who can blink first. And so Barcelona has to play a good game. What makes it worse for them is that Real Madrid is playing earlier in the day before them. So Real Madrid plays first this weekend, and then Barcelona is playing at the 8:30 match. So already they're playing catch up as it is to Real Madrid, and it's going to be tough. Real Betis are not an easy team, and they are a team in form. They can score goals, especially on the counter. Their wide players are doing the job, unlike the Tottenham and Chelsea wide players of last night. The wide players do the job
Anthony
in
for
Real
Ballon d'Or.
Betis. Exactly, I was going to mention Anthony that Manchester United discarded. But yes, they're playing brilliantly. On the other hand, they have an injury to Isco. So he was very key in in pulling the strings in the center of the midfield. How much that would affect Real Betis' performance is a little questionable, but it remains that because Barcelona plays a high line, and because Barcelona are vulnerable defensively, you can actually hit them on the counter, and so that means that Real Betis have ample opportunity to get all 3 points this weekend. But Barcelona are no mean fry themselves. I mean, midweek they were able to keep a clean sheet when they beat Atletico Madrid in the Copa del Rey. So let's see how that
Exactly.
goes.
Let's see how that goes. All right, let's take a trip back to England and talk about Arsenal as their defender Gabriel will sit out the rest of the season after having surgery on his hamstring, according to the Premier League club on Thursday. What is going to be a major blow to Mikel Arteta's side?
Yes, it is going to be a major blow. And I was going to quickly rush to UEFA Champions League, but this weekend they have to face a certain side called Everton. Now, if you know anything about David Moyes' Everton and the resurgence they have you understand why this is a tough fixture for Arsenal. Very sturdy in the middle. They know how to sit deep. And once Arsenal fits all those teams that set up low block, that sit deep, they struggle with ideas.
Mm.
They are about to drop points in the match. And that's what they're going to face against Everton. But on their own side, defensively, everybody's kind of injured. And it makes me question their own hamstring injuries is not just small muscle pull that you say, okay, this person is out for 2 to 3 weeks. Their own muscle pull, they've had several muscle pull cases, and 3 of them have resulted in surgeries. So my question is, what's your training method? Because when something is becoming rampant, is diet and training. All of them don't live in the same house, so let's not assume they all eat the same food.
True.
But all of them train in the same facility. So something is happening at Arsenal. Somebody's not stretching enough. Maybe they should sign them up for Pilates classes, reformer Pilates to be precise. Because this is the third hamstring surgery Arsenal is having this season that I remember. If you remember anyone else, please let me know. So it must be coming from somewhere. It must be the same way I say that ACL happening in Real Madrid is coming from somewhere. It's from somewhere on the ground. So it's a tough one for Arsenal, but they have to survive this weekend. I remember when the news was announced, I was looking at it on social media. Somebody said, "Kivio, we trust you. We believe in you. You can do it." I was like, "Why are you hyping him up now?" But yeah,
Ah,
it's going to be a tough one for Arsenal to be without Gabriel, because that partnership of Gabriel and Saliba,
Saliba,
even if
yeah.
it has not, even if it has not been as solid this season as it was last season, it's still one of the best center pairings. So to have Gabriel out for the rest of the season, it's a tough one.
Definitely a tough one. It's going to be Everton this weekend and Real Madrid also on the horizon. Not the best of times at the Emirates Stadium, really. Okay, let's head into Italy and talking about Juventus. They are bid to salvage Champions League football from their deeply disappointing Serie A campaign will seriously be tested on Sunday at Red Hot Roma as the battle for a top four spot heats up.
Yes, so we have been talking about in Italy, we've been talking about the battle for the top two. So Napoli have their own to face this weekend, because remember they are playing catch up to Italy to Inter Milan, who are 3 points ahead of them, and then Inter Milan also need to hold forth and not budge. However, there's another battle that is going on below those two teams, and it is battle for Champions League.
Mm,
Remember, the Italian teams did not do great in the UEFA Champions League, so they're completely out of that extra spot um for great coefficient for performance in the UEFA Champions League, and so teams are battling for it now. Juventus had fired Thiago Motta, brought in Igor to come and see if they can revive the team. And last weekend, they were able to walk away with a 1-0 victory. Narrow victory, but victory all the same. However,
mm.
This weekend, they are playing against Tinkerman's Roma. And Tinkerman has tinkered that Roma. It is beginning to sing according to the right tune again. So it's just two teams that are desperate, that desperately need some good news from somewhere and seem to be back in form. Roma more tested because they've had many games to show that their resurgence is not just new manager bounce. It's actually a complete resurgence. Juventus just had one try and it looked like they were back on track. So this weekend will be a test of whether it was new manager bounce result or whether their fortunes have really turned around. Let's see.
We shall see. It's going to be an interesting weekend of great football. Let me take your messages and get your thoughts across as we begin to wrap up on the show this morning. This one, okay, there's no name attached. I'm guessing your name is Samuel. It says, I don't see Man United doing the double over Man City. The best they'll get is a draw. Okay. Cruz says, tennis players jointly requesting pay upgrade. Wow. Well, that's not a bad idea. I guess my colleagues and me need to have a meeting and jointly write management on increasing our salary based on how much income the office might be making. Cruz, you're on that one. And then he says, wish me and Titi Loco in our respective endeavors. Cruz, we got to do together. Victor says, I agree with you. I'm already in next season. If Man United win, good one. If they lose, I could also do it. Nobody today, Man United, they lose. See,
Man,
no stress. No stress. Tayo says, tennis people are concerned for the players in their clique, not their body. It's an animal farm model, and that's body language. I'm with you. But up Man City, Amory making fans miss the great one, ETH. Which great one? Tayo, please, let's not start.
he was a great one, Abby.
Let's not start, I beg. Okay, let me check out the comments on YouTube. Uche Naoko says, Spurs, a team that is worse than United. Sancho, please just play better for Chelsea so they can complete your transfer. Very frustrating footballer. City versus United, mouth watering. LK Adoraba says, Iron Tega thought they will troll me today, but my head's strong. Great win for Chelsea yesterday. Jackson is integral to the Chelsea team. He just needs to improve his finishing. And Patrick Pio says, LK survives another day. Looking forward to the Manchester derby this weekend. LK, all I'll say is just be humble.
Okay, they are coming for you. Just be humble because of 1-0. 1-0. I was so mad at Sarr yesterday that he committed that foul before he scored that stunner of a goal. I was like, why do you tackle like a farmer? Very, very, yeah, that was an unnecessary tackle. But yeah, Chelsea was able to survive the late onslaught and win that point. So LK, be humble. You survived. You didn't really win like that. All right. On that note, want to thank you for sending your messages via WhatsApp. Thank you for streaming on YouTube, and thank you for tuning into Smooth 98.1 FM to listen to the locker room. Till we come your way again on Monday. Please.
Looks like the Gremlins entered at the last moment, but thank you so much, Tega, for joining me this morning, as always, making it a great time. Okay, Tega, you are muted. You went off briefly.
Oh, okay. So please just pray that your team is not fodder for banter. Have a great
Amen.
weekend.
Amen. Have a great weekend, Tega, and do take care of yourself. And thank you for being a part of the locker room and keeping it tuned to the Smooth Breakfast on Smooth 98.1. Do not go anywhere. The fun continues. 9 o'clock, a conversation on Lagos talks and more great music on a Feel Good Friday.